Hey you guys, welcome back to Angel Angela. And on this topic, you guys, as you guys can see, we are going to talk about the narcissist is a crackhead. I know it's kind of dramatic. I know it's, a little bit theatrical, but I do believe that this is a subject that we should kind of go over a bit and let me know your thoughts on this subject. I'm going to make this video as short as I can. Right now I'm having my morning coffee, and I kind of had a couple of things on my mind about the narcissist, basically, being on drugs. And I wanted to talk about this because this is from my personal experience, as well as the experiences of others. So I wanted to give you guys some red flags because I know that a lot of us already, kind of understand how the narcissist operates and how quickly their mood changes, and how they feed off negative energy. They feed off of negative energy, and they lose they're very short to temper. When they get angry, it's to a point where you really don't know their limits. Sometimes you think because you've been good to these people that they won't hurt you or they won't, beat you to death. But the thing is that a lot of narcissists are unstable, especially when they get angry. They literally lose control, you guys. And, I know, the title's a little dramatic with, the narcissist being a crackhead, but, I know, drugs, that's something, I'm not going to sugarcoat it, but a lot of people do drugs, nowadays. As I'm in California, so in California, marijuana is legal, and a lot of people smoke and things like that. And I'm not here to judge people. I'm not here to judge your past. I'm not here to judge your present. I'm not here to judge you through your trials and tribulations. If you're someone who is trying to get out of that environment or trying to quit or whatever it is, I'm not here to judge you guys, but I'm here to give you some red flags real quick, because this is something that a lot of people don't know, and that's that a lot of the narcissists around you, it might not be your boss, or it might not be your grandmother or your mom who does drugs or anything. But in my personal experience with the narcissist that I was with, when I got with the narcissist in my life, I was pretty young. I was pretty young, right after high school. He was a little older than me, not too old, but a little older than me. And he had definitely more experience than me. And as you guys know, the narcissist is always putting on a mask. And they always have some, energy. They have so much energy. And sometimes you're kind of like, what kind of energy are these people running on? Like, what kind of demonic energy are they running off of? Because they always have energy for drama, for problems, for just starting chaos out of nowhere. You can have a good time with these people, and they'll find anything to argue with you about, to justify their behaviors. And that energy that they're running off of, sometimes, you guys, it's drugs. Literally drugs. And, some of these people work long hours, and, they start getting into doing coke. Their sleeping patterns are, iffy. Sometimes they don't really sleep too much. Or, their sex drive is either really high, or their sex drive is like literally gone. They stay up for days, and that's another thing, you guys. These people, some of them are on coke, some of them are on meth, and you won't know about it because they believe that they are They believe that they are basically able to function in society without people knowing that they're doing drugs, right? And the thing is that they would tell you that they're doing coke or meth or pills or whatever it is that these people do. They will tell you, but see, they know that a lot of people are very judgmental. So a lot of times they won't tell you that they're doing drugs because the narcissist is studying you at the beginning of the relationship. The narcissist is studying you. So if they know you haven't brought up that you do drugs or anything like that, they're not going to bring it up. They might ask you a couple questions, try to get to know you. A lot of people get together and they start having these relationships with these narcs where they're smoking with them and they're thinking they're having a good time, not knowing that these people are not only narcissists and not only plotting on them and not only in that moment of you're relaxing. They want you in a state where you're relaxing. So if you're doing drugs with them, guess what? You're in a state of relaxation and you're in a state of not being conscious enough to know that this person isn't who they're saying they are. So what I will say is that some of these narcissists are on drugs, you guys, literally. In my experience, the narcissist that I was in, when I like I said, when I started dating him out, it was after high school. I didn't do any drugs. He smoked pot. And, we all you go through those stages where we start experimenting and things like that. So, I did do pot with him. And after that, I just started noticing that, he was very aggressive when he would get angry. Then I noticed that he didn't go to sleep a lot. His sleeping patterns were very kind of weird sometimes. Sometimes, we would go to sleep together and everything was fine. And then sometimes he wouldn't go to sleep. And on top of that, he would want to argue with me. And as someone who, is very young and you're coming out of high school and you're hanging out with older people and you're trying to find a place in society, this is for the young generation right now, the younger girls, young girls and boys. It's that you have to be very cautious, trying to explore and get to know people and live in the moment. Because I remember days where, I would get together with my friends and we would literally say, oh, it's Friday. Oh, it's Saturday. The weekend is coming up. It's time to have an adventure. It's time to have an adventure and have a night where we just don't know where we're going to end up. We do not know where we are going to end up. The narcissist preys on young girls that live in the moment. Right now, you guys, we're living in a moment in time where we're quarantining. The whole world is on shutdown. So guess what the narcissist is doing right now? They're trying to get supply anywhere and everywhere. And the fact that they can't go into clubs, the fact that they can't go into bars, the fact that they can't go into these big social settings, because a lot of times, it just depends on what type of narcissist you're dealing with. There's some narcissists that are very social. There's some narcissists that are very antisocial. And I believe that the antisocial narcissist is even more dangerous because they're very set into having, when they're in a antisocial setting, they usually try to go out and prey on people who a lot of times don't have a big group surrounding them. And if they do have a group surrounding them, the narcissist is going to try to take all your time and take you away from the people closest to you, the people who make you feel free, make you feel happy and joy. The narcissist is going to want to take that away from you. They're going to want to take your youth away. They're going to want to take your happiness away. And they're going to have you in a state of imbalance. And they're going to have your hormones, especially when you're young like that, you guys. I remember just losing it. Like, I couldn't believe it, when the narcissist would do certain things to me, and my whole body would go into this shock. And I would have so much anxiety, and I would be like, I don't know what to do. Like, what should I do? And it was a lot of crazy making, and, the narcissist coming to my job, or the narcissist coming to my home, and I'm a young girl, the narcissist leaving notes in my car. And this is a grown, man that's old enough to know that, hey, this is a young girl with her life ahead of her. She doesn't do drugs. She's not into all these things, but like I said, the narcissist loves to stick to that fake character that they have made up. So it's very important for, especially the young generation, before getting involved in too deep. Leave your comments down below for the people who have experienced this. Let others know, let these children know what they're getting into when they think that they're living in the moment and they're not being cautious. And I think that's what happens to a lot of us, is that we're literally sleeping. We're in our bodies, but it's like we're sleeping, and the narcissist comes and they spark something in us, a light. They spark that light in us to the point where we know things aren't right. We know that this isn't the type of person we need to deal with, but we become afraid. We become afraid of letting go. We become afraid. We second guess ourselves. We start to think, no, maybe he's not on drugs. No, maybe they're not that much of a bad person. No, they have days where they get angry and they lash out but for the most part, we have a good time most of the time. It's not always this bad. Be very careful, you guys, because these people can take you out. They don't care about hurting you. They don't care if you're hurt. They will look at you and, especially if you're in pain or something's going on, they will take their time. They will act as if they're trying to help you, but they're trying to kill you. So they'll take their time. They won't get you the emergency care that you need. The emergency care physically, the emergency care of the soul. They want to destroy you. And, that's something that, I realized in that relationship, is that I didn't know that this person was doing, other drugs. I didn't know. They told me, this is what they told me. So always be careful, especially, I know it's a lot in California. We have a lot of people, smoking weed. So I'm telling you now, if you're dealing with a narcissist and they're doing drugs, even if you see them and they're not doing any drugs at all, and they're just drinking beer or drinking here and there, or they're occasional drinkers, or they say they don't drink at all, always be careful, because a lot of these people pretend. The narcissist always pretends. When they're with you, they act like they're a sober person that doesn't do drugs, a church type of person, a church, just this image. If you guys get what I'm saying, they make this image of themselves, and behind your back, they're going to bars, they're doing drugs with women, and they're doing all kinds of crazy crap. Some of them are even on the down low. And they literally do drugs, use that as an excuse to go do down low stuff, and then come back and act like they didn't do anything, or they blame it on being too drunk or being on drugs. So they're basically acting like crackheads. So, they'll keep this lie going. They manipulate. And one day, at least what happened with me is that I went some time without speaking to that narcissist. And during that time, I went through a personal problem with someone close to me, with my brother. You know, I went with an experience. I had an experience with my brother being on drugs. And once I experienced what it was like, see, when you don't know anything and you're learning, you'll start to connect the puzzle to many things in life. So this is how I was able to connect the pieces to a lot of things. Because as I said, I didn't do drugs or anything like that. And when the narcissist was involved with me, he basically was like, I only smoke. And when my brother ended up, losing his mind and going on drugs, I started to realize that he was doing some of the same things that narcissist was doing. Leaving lights on at night, in and out the house all night, just doors slamming, the anger streak, losing it, getting angry over the smallest things. I mean, literally the smallest things, losing it, ready to get violent with you. The aggression, when they start yelling and cursing or whatever it is, they'll start saying things that don't make sense. And sometimes they'll even say demonic things. I know I experienced that with my brother, is that he was saying like, maybe I have Satan in me, or maybe I have the devil in me. Like, they will say crazy things like that. And what I realized is that when I was with that narcissist, he did say a couple of crazy things, kind of like, look into my eyes, they're dark. He said that to me. He said, my eyes are dark. Look into my eyes. There's darkness. Like, telling me basically there's no one home. There's no one there. Who you thought I was, that person is literally gone. And that's when I started to understand, wow, this is how people act like when they're on drugs, right? When you only see things from the outside, and you're walking to a gas station, or you're walking somewhere and there's someone out there that's homeless, or you see someone that's on drugs and they're out in the heat laying on the ground or talking to themselves, you don't know the life story or what that person went through. You don't know whether that person was a narcissist or a victim of narcissist abuse. So when you get to experience something on a personal level, like my brother, I seen different stages. I seen him, being normal, us being children, us growing up, us not being on any type of drugs or anything like that. I seen him be normal, and I seen how quickly he changed. And until you see that and experience that, and experience how when that person is in that state of mind, no one wants to be around them. And eventually everyone gives up on them, except for my mom. Except for my mom. Because sometimes mothers will, some mothers, not every mother, because some of us have narcissist mothers, but, some narcissist mothers are attached to their boys, and, they'll let them get away with everything, drugs, bringing different women to the house, things like that, and they'll enable them. Once I went through that personal experience, I was able to put the puzzles together to that narcissist, right? So, narcissists always hoover you. So my experience with that narcissist is that he hoovered me. And because I learned a lot in that time that me and that narcissist didn't speak, I said to myself, I'm going to play a game with him, because I'm starting to realize that a lot of these narcissists do drugs, and they do it behind your back. They're party animals behind your back. You have to think about it. So when this narcissist hoovered, I started to pretend that I was partying and I was having a good time. And because I'm young and, he probably thinks, that I hadn't catched on to what was going on still, because he chased after me because he knew I was, naive to a lot of things. So when he did come back, I basically pretended to, be this party animal, and he was intrigued, and he was like, oh, like, let's go out and like, let's have fun, of course. So basically, long story short, I start telling him that I started doing coke. And he was like, oh, okay, cool. Like, I have some coke on me. Like, we should basically get together and, do coke together and have fun. And the crazy part about that is that he acted as if he never did anything to me. Narcissists, they can come back and pick up where they left off and pretend as if they never hit you, they never spit on you, they never did anything to you, they never tried to push you out of a moving vehicle, they never tried to kill you. They'll come back as if they literally didn't do anything. And that was literally his, how he was acting. It was as if he didn't really even know who I was. And that's also when I realized that these people they literally do not have any type of feelings and connection or attachment to anyone. It's more of an obsession. And that's when I realized, wow, I spent years with this person. I spent my young years with him, and he acts like he didn't do anything. He acts very oblivious to everything. And it's like, he doesn't know me. He doesn't know me. He doesn't know that, hey, I'm the kind of girl that would never do that. And you should know that after being around me for so long, You should know that I'm not easily influenced. And that made me realize that they don't attach to anyone, because when that person hoovered me back, it was as if they didn't know me. But I had spent so many years with them. So that's what I mean when I say the narcissist is literally like a crackhead. They don't remember anything. Some of them are on drugs. And, I hope that this experience can kind of open your eyes a little bit more. This is real life. This is stuff that happens every day. This is stuff that might be happening to you. And it's sad because a lot of these narcissists put, vulnerable people on drugs. You might think, hey, I'm just smoking with this person, and guess what? They're putting drugs. They're lacing your blunts and lacing your shit. I'm sorry to say, I'm sorry to cuss, I'm sorry to keep it too real this morning, but I'm seeing a lot of this going on. I'm seeing too much of this going on, literally. And like I said, I don't judge anyone. I don't judge anyone. I don't judge your situation. I know people who have had their kids taken away for dealing with these type of narcissists. It's a vicious, nasty, disgusting cycle. And I know that being with a narcissist is literally like being in hell. And literally until you leave, that's the only way you'll ever get to experience heaven and live your dreams, you guys. So I leave you guys with this message. I hope that it was helpful. And I hope that no one got offended. And if you guys have experienced this or seen other people that have experienced this, leave your comments down below. And don't forget to like, share, subscribe. And I love you guys. Talk to you guys on the next one. Bye.